Hello everyone, the famous Oscar Galactic here, and today I'm going to be reading chapters 3 and 4 for Nebula and Quasar, The Search to Save the Sun. Now, since I've read the first chapters, which is 1 and 2, now the next two are going to be about something sinister that would happen, as well as more foes to fight. So with further ado, it's time for me to start the chapters. Chapter 3. An event sinister that is about to happen. Meanwhile, innocent employees fall away from the IPF solar system in Neotopia. Something heinous and even villainous and diabolical at the same time was in a ship piloted by evil aliens. As the ship was traveling for many miles, it was part of an intergalactic empire known as the Quasar Empire, a totalitarian dictatorship that was founded by the head and founder, Xena, due to the past of how he was ousted from the planet based on a war fought by the Comet Crusaders before it founded Comet City and the Comet Federal Republic long before then. In a balcony, Xena was watching the entire planet and the sun that was still on. Determined to figure out what he was going to do with it as a result of him losing the war at the hands of the Comet Crusaders. He spoke to himself about the evil plans that were ready for him to carry on and do whatever it takes to stop them and be able to rule the entire galaxy, with millions and nerve-intriguing trillions of people enslaved by his henchmen as a dictator himself. After many years of fighting on galactic and world domination, with democracy spreading and the Republic forming, with non-millions and decillions of skyscrapers and people expanding to the future for potential and positive setback. For what was going on in the entire galaxy and for the biggest moment of all, and even after a fight at a church in Comet City against Quasar completely. Your ignorance to the bigger picture is what fuels my drive to keep going. What makes it even possible is that your pathetic attempts to thwart me and be successful after I lost the war is what fueled my complete rage over how I lost control of the entire galaxy and even to you people. The Comet Crusaders, before the City Republic, were founded by the first president of the Comet Federal Republic. And in a few days, I'll take back what belongs to my kind and what my destiny is spelled for as I'm enacting this plan to end it, said Xena. As he was proceeding to continue traveling while looking for the sun-like star that was far away from the IPF solar system of over 220 decillion miles that it was taking for himself, due to his possible and complete vengeance against the Comet Federal Republic. Chapter 4. Comet City and Finding Foes Throughout the Galaxy. Back in Comet City on April 11, 3002, Nebula and Quasar were walking down the entire bustling city along with its 179.94 Northern Quadrangular skyscrapers and buildings capable enough to host thousands, not millions, and even Northern Quadrangular of office workers and people living in hotels and residences anywhere in the city. As they walked, they met many of the new friends and people. As they walked to the park and even to the coast of Comet City, where more than 292.88 Northern Quadrangular people were there on the sand, and even at some restaurants dining on their own kinds of food. As they were walking throughout the place, however, a girl who had been seeing Quasar for the first time and with a love interest with him for many months began to run throughout the skyscrapers and onto the place where Quasar was about to make one move to the street that he always liked to go through. As Quasar saw who was coming for, he began to brace for impact and landed flat on the ground after the girl, who had not begun her name yet, crashed into him and gave him a hug. After the event had happened with Quasar being able to get up for a while, he proceeded to ask the goat in a much more sincere tone, believing that it was the first time he encountered a goat that seemed to have a love interest for Quasar by his looks and helmet that was worn by him on his mission to protect Comet City and the citizens, including the entire galaxy as possible from criminals anywhere. Hello, I'm Quasar. I'm a space scout for Comet City, and I work for my sisters, Nebula and Nova, based on the explanations by all the employees at the Comet City CCFG or Comet City Federal Government, along with Common City Police Department, aka the CCPD, based on attacking criminals, and as Quasar was about to see a word once more, Nebula had to intervene and stop him from going into too much detail. Quasar, can you stop talking about the CCPD? Everyone completely knows that, and I see no reason to explain it all to this girl, whom we encountered on the walk throughout Common City, said Nebula, sternly. Hi there, I'm Nebula, a space cop for the CCPD. What about you? Said Nebula, who was waiting for reply to be explained to her by the girl. I'm Celeste, a fan of Quasar and how he was able to be a part of Common City due to his attire, said Celeste, who was introducing herself to Nebula and Quasar herself since she was living in Common City nowadays. Now, for some reason, Celeste, if you happen to have a crush on me, why did you somehow run into me as I was walking with Nebula all around Common City, and the sheer number of 179.94 Nova Quadrilateral skyscrapers all of a sudden, said Quasar, who was appearing to be questioning her due to the kind of behavior that he saw while he was doing his normal activities around Common City. My apologies, Quasar. Came here because I want to tell you if we can go on a date together, said Celeste, who was waiting for a response from Quasar and was completely waiting for him to answer the question given by herself. Well, Celeste, since you have made me blush all of a sudden due to this response that you completely have, I'll think about it and I'll see if there are any good times for me to start meeting you around Common City based on what you said, and if there are any good places you want to go for the time being, said Quasar, who was now determining to determine if there was something that needed to be completely addressed, or even potentially bigger, that would mean something to himself and Celeste. Okay, then Quasar, I'll see you tomorrow as always. Have a good day, said Celeste, who was ready to depart and leave from the conversation that she had with Nebula and Quasar. You too, Celeste, said Quasar, who was also beginning to leave. As Nebula and Quasar were continuing to walk throughout Common City, Nebula had to ask Quasar a certain question based on what was completely counted to the duo as a result, and be able to understand what was going on with Quasar meeting girls and ladies such as Celeste. I mean, think about it, Quasar. What has gotten you into having such a love relationship with people just like Celeste, or anyone else that you may have encountered with? It seems obviously you must have developed some sort of ability that would encourage you to have a loving date with those that you might know, or some sort of love triangle or square, said Nebula, who was appearing to be quite curious of Quasar developing a love relationship with Celeste or any other woman and girl that they simply encounter on their usual activities. Well, Nebula, it is a long story to begin with. When I was working with you, the first girl I encountered was Luna, who was walking down the streets the same way that I was. What happened was that as Luna was seeing me, she had refused to marry me after all of those years of dating throughout Common City, and the skyscrapers and buildings totaled over 2,312 for the first Common City was founded all the way to a massive whopping 179.94 Nova Quadrilateral skyscrapers and buildings as a result of the improvements and changes for Common City, and even based on construction and engineering for most of the people living there as a result. What tells me also is that as we had dates, there were some times when Luna would always act and start complete massive arguments of how she was not going to love it because of her views towards me, as well as many other things that made me completely mad and angry to begin with as a result of her actions against me, since that happened as a result, said Quasar, who was trying his complete best to give her all of the information that Nebula needed in order for her to completely understand what was going on with Quasar and certain ladies that would have a relationship with him. Okay, so you are telling me that when Luna broke up with you due to her views on you, it drove you to the point where you simply had to give up and then feeling the need of start continuing on many more missions as a result of what was going on due to your job as a space cop, correct? Said Nebula, who was thinking if it was the correct answer and statement that Quasar had said when they first encountered Celeste as a result of their activities in Common City, as well as dining and doing other things as a result, especially when they were on duty or even off duty as a complete result. Yes, Nebula, was what I said. Luna had to break with me due to the views that she had on me as a result. It seems to me that the habit supposed to be taken on a date could seem wise enough, but it can be hard to determine if it may happen or not, based on complete certain matters that we can also see Una from a far distance with the fact that she's paying attention to her device as such, said Quasar, who pointed at Luna, catching Nebula's attention to the girl that used to love him as a girlfriend, but then looking back at Quasar as a result, based on what Quasar had believed in based on his conductive thinking and analysis. So that is really based on what you're looking at it from a complete far distance as a result of what you actually explained to me, correct? Said Nebula, who was thinking about whether the girl happened to be Luna, as Quasar provided a complete and brief explanation as a result of what Quasar had to actually say in the response to what was in fact going on with him and with Luna's like Luna in the galaxy. Yes, that appears to be Luna, and by taking a look at her descriptions, said Quasar, who was making sure that the explanation that he was stating was enough for Nebula to completely understand, as a complete result of what was about to be explained to her as a result of what was previously discussed throughout the years and even today. Okay then, I think that as for the information that you could give out based on what you said so far, I think I would take that into consideration and that to make it even better. I am also satisfied with what you had to actually explain so that way people can understand what is going on with you as well as the people that are loving to you as this mission is continuing as a result, said Nebula, who was completely convinced on what Quasar had said in order for her to understand what was going on with Quasar and his loving relationship with ladies and many others. I hope that will serve to the best interest of you understanding what is going on with me and many others, said Quasar. Continuing to walk until the time was at, I would say, like 7 p.m., so I'll improve that. So continue to walk until the time was at 7:30 p.m. They proceeded to have dinner at one of the most known restaurants in Comet City, and with the attraction of 998.92 Nova quadrillion people as a result, based on how many attended. It was called the Comet City Restaurant, and it was known for its attractive buffet and dishes that were served there with drinks such as Coca-Cola, Pepsi, root beer, Kool-Aid, and many other beverages that were served to people, along with food such as pizza, hot dogs, hamburgers, sushi, and seafood dishes as a result, based on what was on the menu made by the corporation that owned the restaurant, Galactic Investments Corporation, worth over $999.98 centillion, with the GDP of the Common Federal Republic being $870 centillion, due to the country having a mixed market economy, with corporations exceeding massive amounts, with government ownership of some enterprises and a -1 market that generate as much as $45.6 centillion each day and $16.644 uncentillion per year based on how much needed to be given for investment bankers and other people working different jobs throughout Comet City and many others. After they proceeded to dine on the dishes as a result, they proceeded to head back to the home where they started working on their computers to start beginning their own kinds of work and tests. As they worked, they proceeded to think on what was going to happen based on what would be counted as a complete result and what would be counted completely as a result of the action that had been taken after dining at one of the most common restaurants in Comet City in the Common Federal Republic that governed under federalism and a representative democracy that spanned its place for over more than 64 years. After they were done with the work, they proceeded to brush their teeth and headed into the separate rooms. Good night, Nebula. I hope to see you tomorrow when I have the time be, said Quasar, who was wishing her a good night as a result, based on what was explained to him as a complete result. On the next day, on April 12, 3002, Quasar managed to wake up like any other day and proceeded to have a normal breakfast of pancakes with cinnamon and maple syrup on the top. As he was done, he proceeded to use the bathroom, brushing the same as always and putting on his high gear and clothes on as he was about to head out. As he did, he walked around Comet City while working for the CCPD on or off duty based on what he was assigned to do based on his crew assigned to him even during his school years as a result of him being involved with law enforcement. Walking throughout the city, and its amount of 179.94 no quadrilateral interior skyscrapers and buildings based on the population that lived there as a result. As he walked, he began to meet Celeste as so while walking in different directions and locations at a complete result. "Why, hello there again, Celeste. How are you doing today?" said Quasar, who was asking a question about what was going on in Comet City today, based on the companies and metropolitan areas and sectors throughout the galaxy, and even on Utopia. "Oh, it's going well, Quasar. How about you, by any chance? Something new or something that you may feel that you want to do?" said Celeste, based on words of choice, and being able to decide what was going to be special for herself and Quasar. "Oh, it's nothing much, Celeste. I was wondering if we could be able to hang out for a couple of places based on the hours. I think it may be possible based on the fact that you want to be able to go to the same park I used to walk in since I was doing my routine," said Quasar, who was awaiting a response to what Celeste was about to say as a result of the statement that he had said to Celeste before something could be extrapolated into both of them as a complete result. "Well, why not, Quasar? I would exactly love to, since we met each other at a street in Comet City. I would also like to dine at a fancy restaurant to talk even more about our love relationship and what we always do for a living that can be thought to ourselves, based on what I have since you asked me that question for the first time in Comet City," said Celeste, who was more than welcome to have a date with Quasar. As they proceeded to walk, they took a nice look at the park in Comet City as well as many other places around the city. So, like the view of the park and its surroundings, me and my sister Nebula also remember the time when we managed to patrol the place by Officer Stone Cold, since we were appointed to become space cops for the Comet City Police Department or CCPD to fight criminals and even people causing a massive ruckus, said Quasar, who had a clear history of the park, as well as certain places of Comet City and how it came to be part of the Comet City metropolitan area and many others as such. "I kind of like the view of Quasar. Also, the explanation about the entire park, as well as many others, given a nice looking view based on almost every kinds of matters, based on hands of those that wanted to help me understand about what was going on in Comet City before I was born on a certain day, or before I met you in Comet City. It reminds me of something that could be given to people as a gift for history and the explanation of everything at hand, since Comet City and the Comet Federal Republic were founded based on the history of what was explained to me when I was a student," said Celeste, who was taking a tour throughout the entire city and the landmarks part of Comet City and even the skyscrapers that house hundreds of no-contract interiors of office workers throughout the city itself, and even other kinds of places that were considered epic enough to pioneer them all to be moving forward as a result based on what he was talking about. As time passed, with more locations being visited by both of them, Quasar then decided that it was time to take on them today. "Hey Celeste, I will meet you at 6:30 p.m. I will be dressing myself in a nice business suit with a red tie to wear. Have a good day when I meet you at the restaurant," said Quasar, who was deciding to say his goodbyes before leaving back home to change in his nice business attire that he wore when he needed to present a class about the style market and many others. "Same here, Quasar. I will be back when I meet you at a famous restaurant for fancy food and the proper dress code as soon as possible, based on what you may believe can be as much as others would believe. Until now, I will leave you to do your thing as possible," said Celeste, who was beginning to live the same way as Quasar was about to. As both of them left to get themselves prepared for a day at a fancy restaurant that would soon be revealed to them once they were done, Quasar proceeded to brush his teeth for the second time as they were done with brushing their teeth. They proceeded to change into the luxurious outfits for the day. Quasar changed into a business casual consisting of a black blazer, red necktie with a long sleeve collar with buttons, black pants, and even black shoes as a result. While Quasar changed into a nice dress with a long skirt as a result. As they were done, they seemed to head out and wave the people inside the residences farewell. As they left, Quasar decided that it was time to not be late to the date, as he knew that it would be start at a certain time. Proceeding to completely dash for a scenic vehicle to go inside for a restaurant to dine at, Celeste was doing the same, and as both of them met each other again, once a taxi arrived, They were excited to see each other again as a solid taxi. Well, Quasar, it seems to me that you finally made it. Perfect timing. Let's go inside the taxi since it's a restaurant that we sooner want to go for dinner with favorite foods to dine on, said Celeste, who was intrigued to see Quasar in the business suit that he was wearing based on the future, as well as many others that would woo someone, and almost everything based on what needed to be described to almost everyone as a complete result based on most features and requirements, not just for themselves or the family, but also for organizations and sometimes companies as time would pass by. Any consecutive chance as a result. Well, what are we waiting for? Come on, let's get a nice taxi so that way we can be able to dine at the restaurant you simply wanted to go, said Quasar, as Pope and Celeste entered the taxi and was driven all around Comet City. As the taxi driver was driving throughout Comet City in order to get to the restaurant that was known for being fancy and having lots of dishes for most of people to dine, they saw all of the same skyscrapers and buildings now illuminating in the night, with many lights being turned on during the period of its working shifts for many of the people working there as a result. Wow, look at that. Comet City is now with most lights turned on for most of the skyscrapers. This is like the first time that a city with lines has been illuminated to show all of the features as a complete result for the city as always, said Celeste in amazement. As the show looked around Comet City for the first time at night, with people doing their casual things and being able to do whatever it could do to start doing things as always. That is certainly a true thing you can always think if you ask me when you know Celeste. Comet City happens to have these lights turned on along with some billboards. I think that the reason that they do this is because of the fact that it is powered by its own power plants as well as the solar panels that are installed on some of the skyscrapers and buildings to provide a much more better thing for hundreds of novel contracting teams of people that are working or are needed to help power their homes and businesses always, even with corporations having an ownership with some of them. So Quasar, who had been seeing how well Comet City turned out to be, and was waiting for something even bigger and better as time would to completely pass and go throughout history based on the Comet Federal Republic as well as the plans for Comet City to expand up into the future and at new heights. So I'll pause for moments. As they arrived at the restaurant just in time after seeing almost every of the illuminating 179.94 Nova Quadrangular skyscrapers in Comet City, with the advertisements and even billboards hung up on some of the buildings, Quasar and Celeste were able to get to the restaurant in time at 6:30 p.m. for dinner time. As they got out, they saw one of the most iconic restaurants in Comet City, known as the Comet Cosmopolitan, which served 888.81 Nova Quadrangular people for every consecutive year, even after it was found to serve food for many. Aha, the Comet Cosmopolitan, a place to dine and to enjoy the view of Comet City straight from the balcony as always, said Quasar, as he was determined to head in with Celeste based on the date that was planned by Quasar based on what they had in mind. Welcome to the Comet Cosmopolitan, said one of the waiters, who greeted them in and were ready to dine at finest. One of them also asked where they wanted to dine. Hello, sir. Welcome to the Comet Cosmopolitan. Where do you want to dine at finest, sir? Said one of the waiters. For this matter, we would like to dine on the balcony, where we can see Comet City from above and be able to capture almost everything that we have in this region. As always, while looking at the 179.94 Nova Quadrangular skyscrapers as possible, said Quasar, who was convincing the waiter to let them dine on the balcony, where they could see the entire view of Comet City, since the restaurant was also taken in the form of a very tall skyscraper up to 50,000 floors and wide enough to accommodate as much as an estimated 80.90 Nova Quadrangular people for dining, based on the number of tables and chefs, especially waiters for complete dining. Sure thing, sir. I will reserve the table for you based on the dining experience, and I will be able to oversee what I can do for you people, since we may have some people dine on the floors that are full, said the waiter, who then allowed both of them to take an elevator all the way to the top balcony of the floor that was able to host as much as 972 Nova Chicken people as a result. As they proceed to head to the top, they proceed to have a chat with each other while sitting on the table that was assigned to them for dining while watching and commentating from above on the 50,000th floor and seeing all of the 179.94 Nova Quadrilateral skyscrapers and even buildings with hundreds of Nova Triquintillions and even of Nova Quadrilaterals of people being able to dine on their favorite foods, from seafood casserole all the way to sushi and even unadon in the deluxe feature. In a deluxe feature, as many would be able to rest from the work as according to corporations and the Kansas City federal government and the Kansas City Police Department, or CCPD. Once dining with, they proceed to have a talk with one another. So Quasar, since I heard you must have been working for the Kansas City Police Department or CCPD based on your duties along with working as much as to the Nova Triquintillion police officers and space cops to help sedate and protect Kansas City from any other kinds of threats that would be potential to wipe out almost a flight on Utopia as possible. How's your career going, and what could be something like, said Celeste. I thought about asking a question to Quasar, based on what Quasar was going to respond to, based on the previous questions before now. Well, Celeste, since you said that, the truth is, yes, I am an officer and space cop for the Kansas City Police Department, or CCPD. Also, my career is a bit okay. It is just there are some conflicts that I may have when it comes to most of the employees working there, doing something that cannot be done to someone sensitive, and even those that may be held out to me in a complete reach of manners, said Quasar, who had some courage about explaining his job for the Kansas City Police Department, or CCPD, based on what he needed to answer during the time with Celeste on the Common Cosmopolitan and its 888.88 Nova Quadrilateral customers, and more than an estimated 179.99 Nova Quadrilateral chefs to begin with. So, how well do you know Kansas City and its former government, as well as many other things that could be potential to you based on all matters that you understand the cityscape, and the one you're completely on as stated, said Celeste, who was asking Quasar about how he knew Utopia as well as the IPF solar system that surrounded everyone as possible based on all kinds of matters, and even based on what needed to be defined and explained to many as possible. Well, for that, Celeste, I would simply say that since I have an IQ of 78, I know about Kansas City as well as many others based on the skyscrapers and the population statistics, since we have 359.88 dual centillion people, with many as office workers and investment bankers, especially investors from 101.80 Nova Quadrilateral to 983 Nova Quadrilateral people in retrospect. I can also name some companies that work with the Kansas City federal government as well as many others that help with the infrastructure and redesigning of many skyscrapers that are soon to be introduced as time begins to pass in a matter of months, and even time frames to that extent, said Quasar, as he was going to some detail about Kansas City and its 179.94 Nova Quadrilateral skyscrapers and buildings dominating the entire city skyline, and those around it as a result of the explanations and lectures taught at the Kansas City High School, which Quasar went to for education and had 292.8 Nova Quadrilateral students and 87.888 Nova Quadrilateral teachers based on how many enrolled at the school. As Celeste and Quasar continued to talk on what was going to be the future plans as well as many others based on what was needed to be was discussed with many, a waiter came by and presented them with the meals that were served at the right time and place before there needed to be anything else that was a priority. Here you go, so you deluxe sushi with wasabi on the top, and for you, man, you'll eat it along with deluxe unagi or freshwater eel sauce on the top. Bon appetit, and enjoy your time at the Common Cosmopolitan, said the waiter. Thank you, sir, said Quasar, who was having the best time of his life at the restaurant. Thanks, said Celeste, who was also thanking the waiter just in time based on the meals that were given out and shown to the people for the orders given and what needed to be exactly done for the rest of many others. As the waiter left, Both Quasar and Celeste began to munch on the dinners at the common cosmopolitan as a result of the food that was being served to them as a result. As time went by, they proceeded to have more chats in conversation as it was now 7:45 p.m. at estimate time based on what needed to be explained to the rest as both of them were munching on the dinner as a result. While talking about Comet City and the love that was going between them, Celeste was still talking to Quasar, even at the time they were almost done with finishing food. So Quasar, since we have met just yesterday at Comet City, what do you think of this? Said Celeste, who wasn't questioning him about what the restaurant was for him, based on the exterior as much as hundreds of Novan quadrillions of customers and more than 79,982 Novan quadrillion waiters, based on the size of the entire restaurant and the building that completely housed the restaurant, based on the foundation and how many would attend for dinner. I would simply say that the service and dining there is very, very great. Just to begin with, since there were 79,992 Novan trillion people dining there on the balcony, and with the potential to serve as many customers based on what I see here, said Quasar, who was still nervous about what could have been going on with Celeste, as well as some points that could have a massive potential based on Comet City and its 179.94 Novan quadrillion skyscrapers and buildings to that extent, and with the fact that the GDP was over 483.88 Novan octillion dollars based on the free market economy and many others that influence the city based on all sectors of its economy. I mean, when it comes to explaining how better and performing nations can be based on how much money is generated in some periods of time, I would simply say that the money generated is the result of many, many industries as a result, based on the population, which I would say again, of 359.88 dual centillion people living on the city, with others at 598.88 dual centillion. When it comes to cities, have as much as 87.88 Novan quadrillion or 282 Novan trillion skyscrapers to that kind of completely sense, since Comet City and the Comet Federal Republic were founded under many basics of federalism and a representative democracy, said Quasar, who was going on explaining about the entire history of Comet City and the Comet Federal Republic, based on how it was founded by the same people who fought in the wars of the complete time frame and century. So positive for another period of time because I need to take a break. So he goes, nothing appears to be much more since we met on that day, and as Quasar was about to say some words to help it out, he noticed that Celeste had some tears in her eyes that were not seen as completely. As it took the attention of Quasar, he decided to ask her a question on what was going on or what was completely wrong with the day that they were having now at the common cosmopolitan, since the event had already happened. Hey, Celeste, is there something wrong or what do you need to talk about? Said Quasar, who was having some concern with Celeste as they were dining at the restaurant, as 87.88 Novan trillion people left on some of the floors after paying the meals for what they had. Oh, it's just my tears and something else that I may need to wipe off. Would it be okay if I can do that? Said Celeste, who was asking Quasar based on a request that she wished would be accepted on behalf of the date that was taking place at the Common Cosmopolitan. Sure thing, Celeste. Here are some napkins that you can use for this, said Quasar, who was lending her the napkins that she needed in order for her to use as a result. As she did, she pushed her hair on to the side and opened her eyes, which were now on the top of the connectors, with her face revealing to be someone who knows. As Quasar looked at her in silent shock, he closed his mouth. So it goes like this. As Quasar looked at her in silent shock, he closed his mouth, fearful of saying anything that could be misread as some sort of an insult to people that would not be liked under any circumstances, and that would ruin the entire day for the both of them. After Celeste was done, she then proceeded to put it down and let the hairlines cover it completely. So Quasar, Anything you may want to ask? Said Celeste, who was waiting for a response. Nothing much. Be right back for a while, said Quasar. As he was placing the entire payment of cash on the table and proceeding to put the chair in, then with a goodbye to say, Quasar managed to take the elevator down from the balcony to the main lobby of the common Cosmopolitan. His heart was racing like wildfire, and after saying goodbye to the people at the restaurant, he proceeded to catch a taxi and was driven throughout Comet City. Hey, are you okay? Said the driver as he had some concern for Quasar, who was in fact his passenger. It's nothing much, sir. I just need to get home as soon as possible before anything bad happens. Man, that alien. She was too hideous, said Quasar, who was now getting scared and was nearly having a heart attack about the past encounter when Nebula and Quasar were walking down Comet City. Don't worry, buddy. It's going to be okay as soon as possible. Once you get back home, you will be able to relax until tomorrow. Just make sure you get to safe and then try to forget what happened, said the driver, who was assuring Quasar that everything was going to be okay as soon as possible, as long as there were certain things that they needed to do. Thank you, sir, said Quasar in response to the statement. As they headed home, Quasar managed to head onto the front steps while trembling with fear. As he did, he managed to open the door and sit on the chair for quite a while. Nebula, who was walking to get a snack, saw Quasar clutching his heart completely. Looking at his face, he was nearly pale with his heart beating non-stop. Alarmed, Nebula then proceeded to get to Quasar and helped him out. Hey Quasar, it's okay. Nebula's here for you. It's okay. Just calm down. What happened? Did something go wrong? Said Nebula, who was now getting concerned about what was going on with Quasar as the result came very fast. Nebula, I'm sorry to break it to you. However, unfortunately, when I had a date with Celeste at the Common Cosmopolitan, Celeste revealed to have eyes on the top and a black triangle that looks as if it was just completely. Even worse, I had to run out because of what I saw and nearly had a heart attack, said Quasar, who was getting completely fearful of Celeste more than ever, due to what was going on with her as a result. Hey Quasar, like I said before, it is going to be okay. Just calm down. Whatever you do, if you see Celeste, just ignore her and move on. Maybe someday a better girl will be something that will make you feel better than Celeste. Because now, I think that Celeste cannot be trusted because of what you told me as a result. And I want to make sure you will save us always, said Nebula, who was assuring Quasar that everything was going to be okay as a result based on what he had to explain to Nebula. As there was some potential for Quasar to start ignoring Celeste based on what had to be explained as a result. As they were done, Quasar changed into his pajamas and managed to brush his teeth and go to sleep for tomorrow, as he believed that something needed to be done in order for the duo to continue to move forward. On the next day, on April 13th, 2002, Quasar and Nebula were already prepared for the day to begin after eating breakfast and brushing teeth in the same bathroom as always with two sinks. As they got out of their home, Nebula and Quasar were walking down the street of Comet City and 179.94 Nova quadrangular skyscrapers and even buildings on every street. As they were walking, they were taking a look at hundreds of Nova quadrangular people and even the skyscrapers that they were working in, based on different jobs that they had based on their education and graduation ceremonies from other schools, in addition to Comet City High School and other districts, saving hundreds of Nova quadrangular of new students to their completion as a result. As they were walking, nothing was taking a turn for the complete worse as they were walking. However, after the minutes of walking, they noticed hundreds of Nova quadrangular of people screaming for their lives were running for their lives. As they turned around to find who it was, something caught their surprise as they looked even farther to determine who was causing the entire chaos to Comet City as a complete result. Oh no, it's Bubble Hub, along with Pinhead, said Nebula, who knew it was completely as a result of the chaos going on in Comet City to that complete extent. What are we waiting for, Nebula? We got to defeat the Bubble Hub and Pinhead, said Quasar, who felt that there was a complete need to start defeating both villains as a result. Prepared to get themselves ready for action, Nebula and Quasar started to get on the hoverboards and proceeded to fly throughout the panicking crowd as they managed to get to Pinhead and Bubble Hub at the same time before something wrong could have happened as a result. As they did, Pinhead and Bubble Hub then turned their attention to Nebula and Quasar, who were already behind him as a complete result. Aha! So it isn't Nebula and Quasar. The duo were known to save everyone, eh? Said Bubble Hub as he was making fun of them while shooting bubbles from his weapon. So, at this time, I'll pause. So, first off, here goes. They call us the duo because, like you said, we have the right to protect Utopia, and I would not let you both tell us Comet City for any longer as long as federalism and a representative democracy will prevail for more than 2 billion years, said Quasar, who was now feeling that there was a need to go against both Pinhead and Bubble Hub, based on the rampage that was going on caused by their antics and actions against Comet City, when the presumed loyalty of Zero as a result. Very well then. If that is the case, then we challenge you to a complete fight. Let us see if we can do it straight up to the finish, said Pinhead and Bubble Hub, who were then challenging them to a brawl between themselves and Nebula and Quasar as a result of what was going to happen. Alright then, Nebula, you know what to exactly do, correct? Said Quasar, who was preparing his weapon to fight against Pinhead and Bubble Hub and do what it may take to fight against it for Comet City. Yes, Quasar, we know what we need to do. Let's go, said Nebula, who got her weapon also ready to begin the complete fight against Pinhead and Bubble Hub alike. Proceeding to fight, Nebula and Quasar started first, while Bubble Hub started second, and Pinhead then running away to plan something even more sinister as a result of what he came up with. Nebula and Quasar fired as 50,000 rounds of rays at Bubble Hub, while Bubble Hub, on the other hand, proceeded to trap most of them in a bubble launched by the Bubble Hub mech. So I'll improve that. As the fight continued, most of the population in the Nova Quadrant in terms of people proceeding to evacuate with the entire area affected by Bubble Hub. As time progressed, with cars being destroyed by the bubbles as they were lifted up to the top or even floating high in the sky. Nebula and Quasar were still firing shots of rays at Bubble Hub before any damage could be done as a result. Shoot, Nebula is gaining the better of most of us. There has to be some sort of way to outsmart him. Do you have any ideas that could be able to outsmart him as possible and as soon as possible? So Quasar, who will still continue to fight against Bubble Hub in any way possible. Well, Quasar, I don't seem to know that there could be any potential. However, I do believe that there is something that Bubble Hub has a weakness, and this appears to be also something that would be able to defeat him and move on to the next boss, which is Pinhead, said Nebula, who was assuring him the best of luck based on what Quasar did or did not know during the battle against Bubble Hub in Comet City at the time. Mwahahaha! Keep fighting, Nebula and Quasar, but you will not be able to defeat me because I will be the leader of this place once my mission is fulfilled, and there's nothing you can do to stop me, said Bubble Hub, who had lots of villainy straight up his sleeve. Who had lots of villainy straight up his sleeve, with the potential to keep attacking. Quasar was continuing to fight against Bubble Hub and kept proceeding to destroy his bubbles that were launched, until he found out that the main weakness was by destroying his shoes, which had explosive gear and had to be worn at all times, as this could be something he needed to do. Wait a minute, I know what's going on. Bubble Hub has explosive shoes that are worn on him used to fight in many missions, and that they can be easier to detonate when shot by the souls. I think I have an idea that can help put an end to Bubble Hub completely as a result, so that way everyone can be easily protected with anything that we may have in order to be triumphant, said Quasar, as a new trick that he learned when he was a kid. Starting the plan, Quasar then distracted Bubble Hub by going on top of a destroyed skyscraper. Hey, Bubble Hub, look over there! Said Quasar as he was distracting Bubble Hub to catch his attention towards him as a result. Distracted by this, Bubble Hub proceeded to fire more bubbles, causing some destruction to the streets, while Quasar dodged them. As he was dodging them, he leapt in action and managed to fire at the souls in complete precision. As the ray was zooming at full speed, Bubble Hub did anything he could do in order for him to avoid the laser and be able to continue fighting. However, as the shield was broken due to the destruction of Quasar by his moves, the laser hit the soles of the shoes, causing a massive explosion up to 282 billion times the size of an atomic bomb. As it exploded, Nebula Bubble Hub was launched in complete mid-air as he flew from Comet City back to prison far away. It was presumed that he managed to escape from there based on all of the previous crimes that were committed as a result of Comet City and the Comet Republic's enhanced security measures that need to be taken as a complete result. Curse you, Nebula and Quasar! Said the Bubble up as he fled explosion caused by the duel in the fight against himself and Nebula and Quasar. Bullseye, that is one thing we need to do. The other thing is finding where Pinhead went. He may be behind something very sinister to begin with as a complete result of what we had to easily counter with, said Quasar. Also, if we defeat them all, we can continue on the mission in which we will collect what is known as batteries. Then all tools that could be able to help the replacements as such and be able to do whatever it takes to reach the Magnite that I described, said Nebula, who was also helping Quasar find what Pinhead could be in order for him to start feeding him complete as a result. So that'll be in here. In the meantime, I'll take a break and pause here for a while. As they were running through our Comet City in the streets of the 179.94 Nova quadrangular skyscrapers and buildings in every direction, they saw footprints on the pavement as well as some clothes that Pinhead had easily left as he managed to completely dash throughout the place. In response to this, Nebula and Quasar kept running while taking almost all the clues and hints that Pinhead completely left as he managed to completely make a dash for it. Something tells me that these clues are something that he must have left when he was told by Bubble Hub to completely make a run for it. Something tells me that this is something that is no good, said Nebula, who was having a potential thought that Pinhead could be doing something that could lead to more trouble. As they were completely doing this mission. So yeah, I'll include that. So, okay, so like I said before, so it goes like this. It goes like this. Something tells me that these clues are something that he must have left when he was told by Bubble Hub to completely make a run for it. Something tells me that this is something that is no good, said Nebula, who was having a potential thought that Pinhead could be doing something that could lead to more trouble, as they would completely do this mission to show how powerful they can be, as saving the day can also be something. As they continued, they proceeded to stumble across a building that was open. Whoever isn't there, come out and show yourself, for we're here to completely put you behind bars and make sure you never cause more chaos in Comet City or anywhere else in the galaxy ever again, said Quasar, who was now determined to use his voice as he was known to not be afraid of anything except for one that could be able to change his life for something that could be helpful to him as time were to go on, for something that could be a legacy and for the foreseeable future. Then a voice came from the building where Nebula and Quasar were at, which was the sound of Pinhead's voice. I don't think so, you aliens. What I want you to do is to come down here and we can handle this the hard way as I'm asking for you to come down, said Pinhead. Being tempted to come down and being able to do him in one massive fight, they proceeded to come down the stairs and into a room that they had never seen before. It consisted of a table, a massive roof of only 5 lights, and a place for fighting as a result. To make it even possible for Nebula and Quasar to fight with, they saw Pinhead, who was sitting down, beginning to talk with the duo as possible. So we meet here because you want to talk to us about your plans, Pinhead. Isn't it right for you? A villain that has the potential to do something more than just bring haters to anyone? Said Nebula, who is now getting very stern and angry about what was going on. Even with the fact that Pinhead may have been wanted by the Comet City Police Department, as well as the Comet City federal government. Well, there was something that I always wanted to talk about, and it's how I developed my complete allegiance with Xeno on behalf of those. Since I have also begun to work with Bubble Hub on all of these plans for the Intergalactic Empire, or should you say, the Krios Empire. When I first developed allegiance to Xeno, it also did because of the common crusaders that founded this republic and the city that was the capital and largest city on Utopia, which is one of the most advanced cities with over hundreds of noble contract and trillions of people based on all of the skyscrapers that started. When the first came out, my evil opponent causing a terror attack in Comet City by a building, an essentially in which I was completely successful at. Then I proceeded to commit more and more attacks throughout Comet City and even throughout the entire galaxy by almost to sabotage anything while working, with even one of the most powerful bosses sent that I would be beneficial enough to start continuing on the plot for the Empire that I'm an ally to, said Ellen, who was done with the explanations on what needed to be stated. Okay, I am not gonna pull up with this sort of crap because what he did to Comet City was even worse than what had happened with Xeno and the Comet Crusaders that was protected a planet known as Neotopia. So that I'll update that as well. Alright, so from lift off, this is what I saw. So, okay, I'm not gonna pull up with this sort of crap because when you get to Comet City, it was even worse than what happened with Xeno and the Comet Crusaders that did their best to protect the planet known as Neotopia, and many of those that knew about complete protection and placing everything in a good place. Ever since you were nothing but a bad guy who robbed banks and even harassed everyone in public, this led to the point where we had to be involved in your heinous practices against people and those who worked at Comet City, along with many other cities, and its 179.94 noble quadrilateral skyscrapers and buildings to begin with as such. Since you were the ones causing a lot of chaos all over, Stone Cold was even completely tired of your complete antics towards people, which was also not a good sign. To put it plain and simple, that is not how life works for you, Pinhead. You are nothing but just a nasty idiot and moron, said Quasar, who is being completely against the claim Pinhead made based on what he perceived as the truth. When Quasar knew for sure that it was a complete lie based on what was described to Quasar as a complete result, along with the description towards Nebula. And would this seem as if something would be explained to you people based on the fact that you go by Nebula Quasar? I wonder what would also come out since you managed to intrude into my base and be able to start pulling something that I did not see beforehand. Could it be something that I foresee? I would not think so, said Pinhead, who was thinking of many ways to go against the duel as a result. Or to what, Pinhead? Quasar may be a sibling to me and Nova and maybe annoying when it comes to certain missions. Oh, right. I gotta improve this. So, when it comes to certain missions. But he's got 0 points when it comes to how he spies his bad guys. And even in the most tough of situations that can get the better of us whenever we manage to fight against people that can make a life even worse than it can be as such. And the thing is, he has always been understanding of those that maybe have a lot of tough times, said Nebula, who was completely getting defensive against Pinhead when he figured out that Quasar was not a bad guy after all. And it was doing all what it can take to start fighting for justice and even liberty for those that may be able to protect the foreseeable future based on what he did as a space cop. And I take it back, Pinhead. You are not just only an idiot and mobile. You are also another villainous person to set foot on Nebula and inhabitants, said Quasar, who knew what his intentions completely were. Very well, if that appears to be the case, then I challenge you to another fight as always, said Pinhead, who was now feeling that there was a need to stop the duo from causing trouble for himself. As you wish, Pinhead, said Quasar, who had the complete determination to do things that he thought to himself were the best that he could exactly do for those and the boys that he held as one that would pioneer the way of hiking and going on a journey throughout the galaxy and cosmos. As both Pinhead and Nebula started the fight, both Nebula and Quasar were finding Pinhead by the space race, while Pinhead proceeded to dodge them and be able to find them completely one by one. Fighting, Quasar did as much as he could do to start taking down Pinhead as a result, due to the rounds from 50,000 to 5 million shots from the space race that Quasar was completely equipped. However, as time would be able to pass for almost all of them, Pinhead still kept dodging 5,000 while 54 million shots of the space ray from Quasar would hit on him. You may have a reputation of being well played, but you will not defeat me, because I am indestructible, said Quasar, who was getting the better of Nebula and Quasar. Damn it! He is getting completely more and more powerful than ever before. There has to be some sort of way that can help us stop him, said Nebula. I think so, yes. There has to be some sort of way that can stop him for good. And that way we can be able to think on what is the most beneficial way for what is right, said Quasar, who noticed that the only way to take him down was to destroy a generator in the building, which would cause a supermassive explosion. Aha! There we go. The only thing we need to do is to destroy that power box and generator. If we do that, we'll be able to defeat Pinhead and get out of this place in no time. There should never be any time to completely waste, since this could be one mission that Pinhead would never be able to succeed in. Time to do this, said Quasar. So for that time, I'll pause for a while. Said Quasar. Starting to the same point as before, Quasar managed to distract Pinhead by throwing a flashbang at Pinhead, which caused Pinhead to go completely blind and not able to see anything for 10 seconds until he was shot, causing him to fall on the floor. Then with complete intensity, Quasar managed to shoot both the power box and power generator at the same time, which caused the power to malfunction. Come on, Nebula, we need to run, said Quasar, as he told his sister, so... Yeah, as he told his sister that he needed to get out of here. I'm following you. Let's get out of here as soon as possible, said Nebula. As both of them run out of the building that exploded with the duo laying flat on the ground and covering their ears. As the building managed to explode, Pinhead was sent flying through the air and watching every view of Common City, and then at the Common City prison, where he was forced to surrender to the authorities as a result of what Nebula and Quasar had to do. Curse you, Nebula and Quasar! Shouted Pinhead as he was potentially caught by the authorities and even forced to give up his evil ways. Meanwhile, as Nebula and Quasar managed to make it to their home safe and sound, they decided to rest for a bit and have dinner at 6:30 p.m. until nighttime. As it fell upon them, they proceeded to brush their teeth and had a conversation. Well, it seems to me that we need to do something about being on duty. It seems now that this was something that we need to do in order for the mission to be as always best, said Quasar. I would simply agree, since now you understand what it's like to be a space cop, said Nebula, who was helping Quasar understand why being a space cop had its own kinds of benefits to begin with. After the conversation they had, they decided to go to sleep, wishing each other good night. Tomorrow would be something that would be able to start the mission as always. So I'm going to end it here. And I apologize for the inconvenience, because there was a video called on the iPad, and there was like some sort of discrepancy in it. So I apologize for any inconvenience. So if you like this video, just hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to me. More content will be coming soon as I'll continue reading.